women are just not raised to really lean into that intuition. We're kind of taught the opposite, like not to trust ourselves, not to listen to our intuition, and to get all of our guidance from outside of ourselves. So I just think what you're talking about is so powerful. It gives me goosebumps, actually.
Intuition is it's our natural born instinct. And when we're born and we go to school and our lives are filled with rules and regulations and structure and routine, we kind of lose a sense of our own instincts and our own intuition, because in some areas that it is taken away because we're having to stick by these rules and regulations and life takes over. So that's why I feel everybody's born with these natural instincts, but we lose the ability, or it's overtaken with life in some way, so we're not using it.
Welcome to Drinks with the Girls. Conversations for women over 40 around connection, change, and the power of female friendship. Living well with stories to tell. I'm Karen, and this is Lisa.
We are moms and solopreneurs stepping into our own, diving into real conversations about things that matter to women in midlife.
We're here to spill the tea on everything that affects women in their 40s and beyond. Topics like loss and grief, changing relationships, launching kids, menopause, and reinventing ourselves in midlife. We are here to tackle it all.
Connect with us through a blend of our lived experiences, our friendship, the memory of our moms, plus a collection of real stories, honest conversations, and engaging interviews that will make women over 40 feel seen and remind them that they're not alone on this journey called life. Let's go.
Welcome back to Drinks with the Girls. I'm Karen.
And I'm Lisa. And today we are diving into such a cool topic, psychics.
That's right. We're talking tarot cards, energy readings, and intuition. Are psychics really able to tap into something beyond what most of us can see? But before we really get into it, Lisa, what are you drinking?
Well, it is the morning time here in the U.S. in Oregon, and I am drinking organic matcha, and it is really good. Some people feel it tastes like drinking grass, so it is an acquired taste, but I love it today. How about you, love?
I've never had a matcha. My daughter loves them, and she's actually coming this weekend, so maybe I'll have her make me one. But I am finishing my liquid gold, my hot coffee, black, no cream, no zhuzh, nothing, but it is hazelnut flavor.
No mushroom.
And I'm also, no mushrooms today.
Okay. How's that experiment going, by the way?
It's going.
Okay.
Yes.
Update soon, apparently.
I haven't really noticed it. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to know what to attribute any changes to. TBD.
Well, so to help us dive into this really fascinating topic, we have a very special guest. Sally Collins is with us today, and she is a psychic medium who's been doing readings for years for me and for many others. Sally continually blows me away with her ability to help me understand what's happening in my life and how I can be the best version of myself. And I know it's cliche to say that she knows things about me and my world before I even know or understand them, but in this case, it's 100% true. Sally lives in the UK. We have literally, I think, maybe one common friend that we don't really talk to very much. And we're not connected on social media at all. So she is the real freaking deal. And she's become a dear friend. So Sally, welcome to Drinks with the Girls. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're drinking, my love.
Hello, thank you for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here. So, my name's Sally, and people know me as Sally Ann as well. I'm from the UK in Kent. I've been doing psychic readings for about 10 years. Absolutely love it. It's my passion. I love helping people, and I am drinking a very English cup of tea.
Woohoo!
Which I'm obsessed with. I drink too many teas.
Yeah,
that is so perfect.
I think in my wedding vows, there was something about will make me a cuppa every morning, and he still does. So there you go.
Oh, that's very cute.
So we are so excited to have you here, Sally. I have been waiting and waiting for this episode because I have so many questions. And before we really just get in and start with the basics, I have to know, since you're in the UK, Sally, and Lisa, you're here in the United States, how did you guys even connect in the first place?
Well, as far as I can remember, I must have done a reading for a friend of yours, and then she passed on the details to you, and that's how we began our our sessions. And we've been doing. I don't even know how long it's been now, but it's been quite a few years, I think.
It's been a few years, but here's the crazy part, right? This friend that she's speaking of, I met when I lived in Zimbabwe. So
that's right. Yeah.
We were friends for years after that. And then she moved back to the UK, and then it continued the way Sally talked about. So, one of those everything happens for a reason kinds of things. Like, who would have thought Zimbabwe? You know what I mean?
So cool. So let's get into it. Let's just start with the very basic. What does a psychic mean, and what does it mean to you, Sally?
So a psychic is really somebody that can predict things of the future, predict things that are happening around a person at the time. And for me, it really means connecting with my own intuition, connecting with the energy of somebody that I don't know anything about, and picking up on those feelings, and just being able to see or feel things that are around you, and see events that perhaps you didn't see coming yourself. So it seems a bit mysterious, but it's worked for me, and I have many people that give me validations that I've read for in the past. But yeah, that's what it means to me. Ultimately, it's connecting with my own intuition and giving that information to whoever I'm sitting with.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I mean, for me, it's not about like you will meet a tall, dark, handsome stranger. My husband is not tall or dark, but he is handsome. Really, for me, is about just kind of a temperature reading almost of kind of how life is going, questions that I have, like, am I on the right track? Like, is my gut instinct right? And Sally is really good about kind of diving into that particular part.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, Sally, tell us a little bit about your history. When did you, or how did you discover that you had psychic abilities? Was it something that like happened gradually? Was there a moment when it just kind of clicked for you? I actually don't know anything about this story, so I'm very interested to hear what you're going to say.
So there was never a moment really that it just clicked for me. I feel like I've just been born this way. So when I was a child, I feel like I was highly sensitive as a child. I would pick up things all the time, like people's emotions, spirit that are around me. But to be honest, because it's in me and I've been born this way, I never saw it to be anything amazing. There wasn't never a moment, if that makes sense. And it was only sort of in my teen years that I suddenly thought, actually, not everybody can do this. This is not something that everybody has in them. And at that point, I suffered quite badly from anxiety because the feelings were so overwhelming, and I kind of blocked it off and escaped it. I didn't want to know about it. But then as I grew up, probably in my 20s, I realized actually these feelings and these connection that I'm having with spirit and with people, and these intuitive thoughts that I'm having can actually help people. So I went to a spiritualist church. They helped me manage it better. They taught me loads of tools in how to shut down and open up and protect myself. And I realized that it's not something to fear. It's actually a wonderful gift that I should use. So there was never a moment really. This is just how I've been born. And when I was very young, I just thought everybody was the same. It was only when I was growing up that I realized that I was a little bit different to maybe some other people.
That it's actually interesting that you bring that up, because I've often wondered, like, how do you shut it off or on, right? Like, if you're in a crowd, is it overwhelming? Like, I consider myself to be a pretty empathetic person, and I find sometimes that crowds are a little much for me because I can't kind of shut that off. So I can imagine that learning those tools of kind of how to protect yourself were really important in you being able to just kind of function as a person.
Yes, definitely. It's a big part of it. So it's just as simple as setting your intentions. So the way I do it is I just kind of picture a door, and when I'm ready to work with spirit or work with that person that's sitting with me, I will picture that door opening. And I will set that intention, okay, I'm ready to receive that information, I'm connecting with that energy. When I want to close down, I will picture that door, that image of that door closing, and again I'm setting the intention that I'm shutting down, I'm closing off, and I'm focusing on myself. Okay, when I'm out in crowds, and I could be doing shopping or going to a music event, to be honest, it doesn't get overwhelming because I'm living in the moment and I'm enjoying myself, and my mind is distracted on what I'm doing. So sometimes I will, unless it's somebody that's very emotional, then I will perhaps pick up things. But generally, most of the time, I'm shutting down and I'm like focusing on my energy on myself and what I'm enjoying or what I'm doing at the time. And it's, again, that's really important to do, because otherwise it starts to affect your everyday life. But yeah, it's simple ways to protect myself. Again, I've been taught, just picture yourself in a bubble of white light. Ask your guides and your loved ones for that protection. Some people use crystals, sage for their property and things like that. So but the ultimate thing is you're setting that intention. You're putting out there what you want. Do you want to protect yourself? Do you want to close down? Do you want to open out? So as long as your intention is there, you can do it any way you want.
Hey, fabulous Drinks with the Girls listeners. Guess what? We have something exciting happening here at Drinks with the Girls. We have a way for you, our listeners, to be involved. We would love you to be a part of our Drinks with the Girls support team. Creating a sisterhood of empowered women is our goal, and we are so grateful you are here. But we need your help to grow this incredible community that we have a big and bountiful vision for.
You can help us get the word out about Drinks with the Girls because we want all women to feel the support of our powerful community behind them. Here's what you need to do. Go to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe or follow Drinks with the Girls if you haven't already. We need you to share every episode we put out.
We would love for you to do this, especially when a particular episode resonates with you and or brings to mind someone you care about that you think would benefit from listening to it. Share with a girlfriend via text, share to your email newsletter, share on your socials, share from the rooftop. Every share is a chance for all women around the world to feel connected and supported by our Drinks with the Girls sisterhood.
The other thing you can do is officially join our Pod Squad email list. That will help you in two ways. First off, every time a new episode drops, you'll get an email with info on the topic, so it reminds you to tune in and listen with an easy-to-follow link. But it's also an easy format to hit forward on and share with some of your favorite people so they can easily access the newest episode. That link is always included in our show notes for you.
We are so excited to have you as part of the Drinks with the Girls Pod Squad support team. We are all in this together. Cheers!
Cheers!
This is such a fantastic conversation. Like, my mind is going in all different directions, Sally, because I just have so many questions. I do not have extensive experience with psychics or mediums or anything at all. And I'll talk about my experience a little bit later. But something that is coming up for me is that, I'm a life coach for women. And so I work with women on listening to their intuition, setting boundaries, self-care. I mean, all these things that you just kind of talked about in terms of your psychic abilities. I have so many questions, but my first one is how do you nurture that ability to listen to your intuition?
You have to trust what you're feeling. So everybody has intuition, and it could be that moment that you meet somebody and something doesn't feel quite right, or you just wake up in the morning and you think, you might think of someone in your head and they call you. It's really about really trusting those vibes that you're getting. And the way that happens with me is I will just feel it in my gut. With every cell in my body, something will be telling me, okay, don't trust that, or do trust that, or this person you're going to hear from this person. It is all about trust. And once you start learning to trust that intuition, you will find it gets stronger and stronger. It's almost like if you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't trust it, then obviously you're not gonna, it's not gonna get stronger. But yeah, it's all about that trust.
I love that. And that I can go down the rabbit hole of why which we love
Go
talking about how much,
down that hole.
we we blame the patriarchy for everything, but, how women are just not raised to really lean into that intuition.
No,
We're kind of taught the opposite, like not to trust ourselves, not to listen to our intuition, and to get all of our guidance from outside of ourselves. So I just think what you're talking about is so powerful. It gives me
yeah.
goosebumps, actually.
Because intuition is it's our natural born instinct. And when we're born and we go to school, and our lives are filled with rules and regulations and structure and routine, we kind of lose a sense of our own instincts and our own intuition, because in some areas that it is taken away because we're having to stick by these rules and regulations, and life takes over. So that's why I feel everybody's born with these natural instincts, but we lose the ability, or it's overtaken with life, in some way. So we're not using it. So yeah, I think it's really important to be able to tune into that. Not just women, men as well, like everybody, But somehow along the way of life, it just gets removed from us a little bit.
And I think people have traumatic experiences, and then it
Absolutely,
really
yeah.
it makes them not trust that intuition. I mean, I definitely went through a period of that after we came home from being overseas, because it was a series of really rough outcomes and events that happen. And I just went through this period of like, my intuition is crap. Like, I shouldn't trust it. It's awful. And I had to really work on that in therapy and a lot of other places to kind of regain that confidence. So I can see how that's something that we would begin to distrust, and we need to really work on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. Any trauma or anxiety, that kind of thing can really hinder you listening to your own instincts as well.
Yeah, it's like that cycle. It's like something happens, you don't trust yourself, so then you don't listen to your intuition, so then you don't trust so it's hard, I think, to break out of that cycle. But what are some of the different ways that you receive messages? Do you use tarot? We've talked a lot about intuition, or is there something else?
So there's many ways, and every psychic or medium will have their own ways of connecting or receiving messages. So the way that I normally will, there's a few ways. So the way that it will normally work with me is I will either see things in my vision, so in my third eye. It's almost like, I want to say, there's like a little TV screen in my third eye, so in my mind's eye, and I'll get images, words, that kind of thing. I'll also hear things, so it could be, again, words, voices, that kind of thing. It might not be an extensive conversation that I'm hearing, but it will be key words. And also I will have like an inner knowing that I just don't know how I know it, but it overwhelms me to the point where I just know that something is going to happen, or I know it has happened. So those are the main three things. And then I will use tools to help me, which would be my tarot or oracle cards. And also, if I'm seeing someone in person, then I would normally hold a piece of their jewelry as well, which is called psychometry. So it's using another person's belongings, which holds their energy, and it really helps me connect with that person.
I know that there are a lot of people out there that might be curious but skeptical, or maybe just flat out skeptical. What do you say to those who think that this is a load of baloney, that don't believe in psychic abilities, who just aren't supportive, or just don't believe that it can be a valuable tool, or that it's even valid in the first place?
You know what? I welcome everybody's opinion. Everybody has their own thoughts on the subject. It's, I feel if anybody's skeptical, then keep an open mind and just think about the times that their own instincts have led them to be right about something. And that is all it is. It's working with that energy. But I would say, yeah, it's not a problem. I've had many skeptical people come to me for a reading. They come in as a skeptic, and they go out with that faith and belief that actually there is something more out there. There is something more beyond what we can see, feel, and touch. A lot of people are quite scientific, and they want that hard evidence. And sometimes that hard evidence is simply go and see a psychic or medium, keep an open mind, and see what happens.
So if someone comes to you for a reading, what can they expect?
So during a reading, which typically will last around 45 minutes, I will either do it over the telephone, in person, or email. So during that time, I will do a short meditation before the person I'm sitting with. And that just allows me to focus my energy on that person. I perhaps might make a few notes, because as soon as I start linking with that person, even if they're not sitting with me or talking to me, I will start receiving information, images, feelings. So I'll make a few notes. Once I'm sat with the person, again, I will link with them, and then what we will do is I will start to guide them in areas of their life with the information that I'm getting through. And generally, the information that I get through is tailored to that person, so it's whatever they need to hear on that day. It's never a negative experience. I try to help in a positive way. So even if there's challenges or battles that person's going through, I try to guide them in a positive way to more, peaceful times. We may well get a spiritual connection during that reading as well. I can't never guarantee who that is. It's whoever connects with me on the day. And I've had lots of amazing validations with that as well. And then at the very end of the reading, we will together pull a few tarot cards, which again will give us an idea of how things are going to pan out for the future. Which typically when I do a reading, we will look into the very near future. So like the next 6 months to a year.
My name is Karen Shatafian, and I am a shameless coffee addict and empowerment coach for women, and my love language is authenticity. My mission is helping women unapologetically design a life they're in love with. Because what the hell are we waiting for? My website, KarenShatafian.com, has all my coaching packages and free offers like my midlife reclamation guide. In it, you'll find tools to help you decide how to create the most inspired and empowered version of yourself and your life. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram talking about ways women can show up for themselves after decades of showing up for everyone else. Join me as we throw off the shackles and live our best freaking lives. See the show notes for all the details. Cheers.
Going back to the tarot cards for a second, I mean, tarot cards are obviously part of the readings that you do. I know they originated in Italy. They've been around since the 15th century. Can you tell us a little bit about them, how they came to be used for readings, and what you like about using them as a tool?
So from what I know, they were originally used as a game, actually. And then during, I think it was the 18th century, it began going down the route of using it in the occult, and people started using them to predict future events, and that's how it became. I'm not sure too much more of the history of that, only the fact that there's many tarot versions. And the original version is the Rider-Waite tarot deck, which I have myself. You can, with the tarot cards, you can, study them as the book was written and as that, with all the meanings. But the way I use them is both ways. So I kind of know the meanings of the tarot cards, but also I will use my instincts, and I will instinctively read those tarot cards. So I might pull one card for you, Lisa, and it might mean something. And then I might pull the same card for Karen, and it might mean something completely different, because I'm using it and I'm adapting it to both your lives. The basis of it will be the same, but there may be different meanings for both your lives. Tarot cards are a really lovely way, a really lovely tool, especially if you get ones with detailed artwork that can really help you see more into a person's life. I started using them when I was 15 years old, and they just blew me away because they always seem to be correct. And yeah, I just love them.
Karen, do you have experience with tarot cards or psychics? Have you ever been to one?
The only time I've ever had a reading or experience with a psychic, my brother and I, about 8 years ago, I was going through a really hard time in my life. I was going through my divorce, and he and I decided to go on a road trip, which was fantastic. And we stopped in Sedona, Arizona, a place that I love. And I thought, you know what? If I'm going to dip my toes in to this whole experience, this is probably a good place to do it. So he and I walked into this woman's space, and she, looked at us and then pulled me into her room and asked me a bunch of questions, and then just basically told me so many things that were accurate. I mean, she told me things about mine and my brother's relationship. She told me things about, kind of what was happening with me in terms of myself, my wellness, my divorce, my emotional well-being. And I was sold. I was a fan. I'm like, this is the real deal. And the cool part was, I should have pulled out my journal because I journaled after it, and I can't remember the specifics that I walked away with, but I just remember feeling seen, and her, not advice, but her guidance helped me feel validated in the decisions that I was ready to make in my life. And it was extremely impactful.
Yeah, I remember my husband said he did a reading years and years before he met me. And the woman that he met with said to him, "You're going to make this huge journey." So my husband is British, for those of you who don't know that, and obviously lived in England. And this particular psychic told him he was going to make this huge journey, that he was going to cross an ocean. She saw him in America, and he thought she'd lost her mind. He was just like, this woman has no idea what she was doing. And here he is. And to commemorate that, on his wedding band, he has ocean waves on there because of that image that he really found out before he even knew what it was, right? So, Sally, one of the questions I have for you is, when you are receiving messages about someone in a reading, are there any, I can imagine sometimes you get messages that are shocking or just surprising, maybe. Does that ever happen? Do you, I mean, I assume that you're obviously not there to judge, so you're not really kind of making the information that you receive good or bad, but has that been an experience for you?
There's been so many. Sometimes I literally freak my own self out, and I'll get an image of something.
No.
And I think that can't be right, or that can't be true. And I will, I was always taught, as we said before, trust your instincts, just say what you see and say what you're feeling. So one instance that sticks in mind, I was sitting with this lady, and I kept seeing a man dressed as a clown with a red nose on and everything. And I was thinking, this is really strange. I really don't want to say it, but I'm going to have to. And then it turned out, sadly, her dad had passed away, and he was a bit of a comedian, a bit of a joker, and he actually got buried in a clown outfit with a red nose and everything.
Oh my Lord.
And that just
Wow.
blew me away. But there's so many times where I've thought, it could be that I'll start picturing a banana, for instance, and it will be, well, this person, had this banana or with them today, or someone passed away with, their favorite food was banana. It could be anything. I mean, I'm just saying that as an example. That's why I'm saying you have to trust your instincts. And there's been so many occasions where it's just shocked me. I'm never a person, if I feel, I will never say anything awful to somebody. I'm a firm believer that spirit and my instincts will always be able to give information that I know the sitter is going to be able to handle. So I'm very in tune with them and their emotions. If I feel like they're just not going to be able to handle something that I am going to say, then I, to be honest, I won't say it. But pretty much most of my clients will say it how it is. Don't sugarcoat anything. I need to know how it is. And I won't generally see anything like death or anything awful like that. I don't generally see that. So that helps, because I don't think I would like to see that anyway. There's always surprising things.
I know that there have been readings that you've given me, and the way kind of I hesitate to say bad news because it's not really how it's delivered, but like, for example, when my kids were struggling with health issues, you would say things like, is one of your children having tummy issues? Because, I can picture your son or your daughter or whatever, and it looks like they're not feeling comfortable with their stomach. Like, is there anything kind of going on with that? Right. So it's not like, oh, they're going to get this horrible disease or whatever, but it's more about like, just be on the lookout because I'm seeing some things going on with this. Does that ring true for you, kind of a thing?
And generally what will happen is if somebody's got a health issue or something needs their attention, I will generally see a white light in that area. And then, I'm no medical expert, and I always say, if you've got if you've got something going on, then go and get it checked by a professional. But I will always guide that person and say, it seems like spirit are putting a lot of healing around this area. I don't know if you're having a few problems there, but yeah, just to let you know that healing is being sent to you. But that's generally how I will see it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I used this word before, or I talked about it being a temperature check. So, and that's really what it feels like for me, is a temperature check with the things I have as goals for my life and the experiences that I'm having or will I have. And, it's this idea of, am I on the right path? Are the things that I need to look into further, pay more attention to? And for me, I look at it as just another tool in my toolbox to help me figure out life and whatever the heck is going on, right? I mean, and that being said, you've consistently told me things that you would have absolutely no way of knowing that are dead on and completely accurate. And these are things that I don't post on social media or tell you. Like, we literally have never met in person. There's no way whatsoever that you could have Googled this information.
No.
And in some ways, I think it's good that you are so far away physically, because it takes that whole piece out of it. Hey there, I'm Lisa Corachella McDowell, your midlife Pacific Northwest princess, here to guide you in the art of next leveling your life. I'm passionate about women's health and wellness in midlife, especially for moms parenting kids with unique needs like I do. I truly believe we can learn, grow, advocate, and care for the planet while taking care of ourselves and our families. And I'd love to help you do the same. Plus, I'm beyond excited to announce the launch of my new membership, the Empowered Parent Collective, this March. It's a space for parents to confidently advocate for their kids, build inclusive communities, educate themselves, and find balance and support along the way. To find out more about the Empowered Parent Collective, my classes, wellness offerings, parenting tips, advocacy resources, and exclusive Drinks with the Girls goodies, head to nextlevellifewithlisa.com. Let's survive and thrive in the messy middle together. Cheers. When people come to you looking for specific answers about love or career or something else, what are some of the common questions you get? Like, what are people typically wanting assistance with, or their reasons for coming in to talk to you?
So it's a bit of a mixture, really. I mean, the majority of people will want to know, they're feeling a bit lost on their path. So whether that's in relationship, love, or even career, they generally want to know, are they going to be okay? Are they doing the right thing? Are they going to feel lost forever? What is coming up for them in the next 3 months? What opportunities are there? They just generally want to be comforted and reassured that, no, you're not going to be stuck like this. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. So there's a lot of comfort and reassurance needed with the people that I see. But a lot of the time as well, the majority of my clients will want to be able to connect with loved ones that have passed over as well. So they want that validation. They like me to validate what is going on in their life as well. So this is stuff that they already know, but they want that evidence that I'm bringing through, basically, that I know without them telling me that this and this is going on, and this person's in spirit looking after them, and this is how we're going to guide you, and this is the messages that I'm getting for you to get you back on track again and to help guide you into more positive, stable and secure times. So yeah, that's what I feel like my job is, and that's mainly what my clients will come to me for. There's like a bit of life coaching, really, a bit of counselling, a bit of life coaching, a lot of comfort and reassurance.
Yeah, Karen, I'd be interested in you kind of jumping in on that topic and talking about that, because you are a life coach.
I think that's exactly what it is. And back to kind of what I was talking about, like that intuition piece, it's almost like you're giving people the thumbs up to listen to their own intuition, because that was my experience, kind of what you just talked about. Like when I met with a woman, I wish I could remember her name. She was basically just validating what I already knew. I had to make a hard decision, and I was having a hard time listening to my own intuition. And also there were people outside of me telling me I was making the wrong decision. So that didn't help. But yeah, I just think, what you offer is just another tool for people to be able to reach their goals or kind of validate they're going through, or if they have to make a hard decision, you're kind of supporting them on that journey. And yeah, that's exactly what a life coach does.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And often my clients will say, well, yeah, I absolutely know. I know that's what I got to do in my heart. And thank you so much for, kind of validating and for understanding me and supporting me, really. So it's almost like they need that person to kind of connect with them and say, it's okay. Yes, you're on the right track. Yes, you do need to make this change because it is going to be helpful. Or even sometimes maybe you need to think about making that change before, don't run feet first into it, because there's other things might happen. But you're absolutely right. That is exactly what it is.
So I'm not sure what brick and mortar psychic places look like in the UK, but here in the US, we have, you'll go by a place and it'll say psychic and in big pink lights. And there's always like a waiting room, and they're always empty. No matter where I've gone in the United States and seen a psychic Alisa, you tell me if you've had a different experience, but you'll see a brick and mortar psychic place, but there's never anybody there. Like I've never seen one soul. So I'm like, well, is it an appointment only? Is it what's happening? Like what is going on?
What are the rules?
Exactly. Like, what are the rules? And then, of course, it makes me think, well, it's all bullshit then. Like, I've never seen a real person in a waiting room for a psychic. So what is going on? So for people who are psychic curious, how can they tell if someone is the real deal?
Do you know what? I feel it's word of mouth. I feel like to begin with, it's helpful if it's word of mouth. If you know somebody that has already been to this certain psychic and they can recommend them. I think that's the biggest thing. Do your research, look at reviews online. If they're online, speak to people. I wouldn't, never fall into the trap of, sometimes you get these psychics and mediums that are online and they're bombarding you with inbox messages saying that they've found they know a secret about you, or there's a male in spirit that wants to give you a message. It's all done as to kind of draw you in and pay for their service. And I really don't agree with it. I never approach anybody. I never send friend requests or anything like that. I just literally let people come to me, and it's always word of mouth, or it's because they've seen a review. So I recommend do your research, do your homework, but ultimately it helps if you know somebody that has been to this person before.
Yeah, I've never, ever gone into like a psychic shop. No. I've talked to one other psychic in my life, and it was the same kind of thing. It was a referral from a friend. That has never been attractive to me for all the reasons that you've talked about. Continuing in that vein, right? There's also psychics out there that charge a ridiculous amount of money. And I feel that what you charge is stupid cheap. Like, I'm always telling her, are you kidding me with this? Like, you need to raise your prices. Like, this is crazy. And you kind of talked a little bit about this, but are there any other red flags that people should look out for other than like what you've already said?
I just feel, be careful of being spammed with all these messages. I mean, some psychics will charge over the odds. To me, I'm not in it for the money. I'm just, I still have to support myself, my bills, my outgoings. But I've never been in it for the money. I'm in it because I love the job. So just be careful. And again, do your research. What is typically the average price? If it seems like really too high and they haven't got amazing reviews, then again, trust your instincts. I think a lot of people will be drawn to the right person. So again, we're going back to the instincts. If it feels instinctively good and you feel like this person is legitimate, go for it. But be wary of the scammers because they do give us psychics a bad name.
We always like to leave our listeners with something that they can take away from this episode. So, Sally, if somebody is curious or this has kind of piqued their interest, what would you recommend to them? How could they go about finding someone, or how can they get their, dip their toes in the psychic water, so to speak?
I feel like there's so much knowledge out there online, books, things like that. If they're really interested in developing skills, I would say, again, you do your homework, go to somebody that is reputable. A really good way, again, is to start off, if you're wanting to start your own psychic abilities, is meditation, going to like groups in your area. If you're wanting to get a psychic reading, again, I would say just go online, listen, put your ear to the floor, listen to people talking about any psychics, it's word of mouth. And that's the advice that I would give, really. But there's so much knowledge online, and you do have to be a bit careful. So again, look at reviews, make sure it's a reputable website. Really, the world is your oyster. And the more you start, the more knowledge you want. And again, your instincts will take over and you will instinctively know what you want to go, because it's such a wealth of knowledge out there. So it really depends on what part you're interested in as well.
A good psychic reading should leave someone feeling what?
Comforted, uplifted, reassured, and calm.
Boom, mic drop.
Yeah.
Well, my goodness, Sally, this has been such a treat. And thank you so much for being here today. This was just a wonderful conversation. Now, I know you're not very active on social media. How can people reach out to you if they want to learn more about what you do, or if they want to book a reading with you?
So I mainly work on word of mouth, but I do have Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And you can find me on Sally Ann Psychic Medium.
Is that Ann with an E?
Ann with an E.
We'll put all that information in the show notes for you all so that you can get a hold of Sally if you would like.
This has been so fantastic. So listeners, we want to hear from you. Have you ever had a psychic reading? Was it accurate? How did you walk away feeling? Please tell us your thoughts, because we love to keep the conversation going.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe. And something we've been talking about lately is to leave us a review. We are realizing that 5-star reviews are the queens of the algorithm. And you don't have to leave us a 5-star review. You can, if you decide we're not worth the 5 stars, you don't have to do it. But the more reviews we get, the more the algorithm shows us to people that might benefit. And I've even been hearing about people who aren't quote unquote in our demo that they enjoy the show, which was really kind of cool to hear. So please reach out. We always love that.
Yes, listeners, and please share with a girlfriend. We know you have women in your life that would be interested in this episode. So share with a friend, or take a picture of you listening to Drinks with the Girls, maybe on your walk, maybe while you're decluttering, maybe while you're just chilling. Take a picture and post it on your socials and tag us. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, Pinterest, we have a website. Share on your socials.
All the things. Sally, anything you want to leave our listeners with before we close?
Yeah, trust your instincts, guys. Got to trust those instincts. And thank you so much for having me. It's been great fun.
Oh, gosh. Well, it was wonderful. So, everybody, that's it for today. Until next time, cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.